Li Mei's Wuxia whispers. Chapter 400 A Summons. Chapter 400. A Summons. Iron Saber Lord was indeed generous. He had given them a lot of treasure, including about 100,000 raw gems. Raw gems were used as currency in Divine Land for trading, and were very precious. Generally speaking, an ordinary pinnacle of the Saint Realm had at most several hundred raw gems. A Stage 2 expert, who possessed more resources, had at most several thousand raw gems. Everyone present would receive more than 10,000 raw gems. General Qing received 20% of the treasures and raw gems. The 6 commanders received 10% each, and the remainder was distributed to the ordinary Iron Saber Army sergeants. After all, those sergeants had also contributed to the battle efforts. Night had fallen, and after the treasures were distributed, the Iron Saber Army dispersed. Calm returned to the Iron Saber Army after the conclusion of the Demon Heart Canyon battle. 3 days later. Whoosh! A beam of flowing light flashed across the sky and appeared in the void above the Huayo Palace where the Iron Saber Lord lived. A purple-haired elder with a wrinkled face appeared in the flowing light. As he looked at the huge palace below him, he felt an oppressive force emanate from it. His face showed a trace of fear. Iron Saber Lord. Iron Saber territory has lost heavily this time. When Iron Saber Lord knows about it, the purple-haired elder sighed softly. He isn't the strongest among the lords led by Drifting Blood Marquis. It's been said that he's good-tempered. But this time the loss is so heavy that he'll definitely be angry. I have to be careful. If the Lord is angry with me, I'm afraid I'll be killed. The purple-haired elder felt slightly uneasy as he entered the Huayo Palace. Seeing the elder, Iron Saber Lord gave an order immediately. Tell the 2 generals, as well as all the commanders who stay in the Iron Saber territory, to come to see me at once. In the barracks of the First Army of the Iron Saber Army. The First Army had been in charge of guarding the Demon Heart Canyon. Although the Demon Heart Canyon cave mansion had already been compromised, the First Army continued to station themselves near the Demon Heart Canyon, as they had no other task. In one of the camps, Jian Wushuang sat alone on a bed with his eyes slightly closed. He was surrounded by vast origin energy. Just a moment later, the origin energy dispersed. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, shook his head slightly and thought, I have comprehended the extremely high level of the world origin and the slaughter origin. Nevertheless, I still can't cultivate the origin mark. Origin mark was the sign of a Stage 2 expert. By virtue of the spiritual power of heavenly creation skill and excellent physical strength, Jian Wushuang was not weaker than Stage 2 experts in battle strength. With various aces up his sleeve, he could even compete against Stage 3 experts. His battle strength was definitely nothing to scoff at. But his comprehension of the origin was too weak. There was no other way. After all, he was still too young. Lei Dao and other people believed that Jian Wushuang was actually an old man who had retained his youthful looks. Nobody knew that Jian Wushuang was actually very young. He was only 24 years old this year. It was already an incredible feat for someone as young as him to comprehend the origin to such an extent. Swordsman. Lei Dao called Jian Wushuang from outside the camp. Jian Wushuang rose from the bed and left the camp. He saw General Qing, Lei Dao, and other commanders waiting outside. What happened? Jian Wushuang asked. Lord Commander summoned us. Let's set out immediately, said General Qing. Okay, Jian Wushuang nodded. The commanders of the First Army and General Qing headed for the Huayo Palace. Many from the Second Army had already arrived when General Qing and his commanders reached Huayo Palace. Li Mei's Wuxia whispers. Like General Qing, the Second Army general was also a Stage 3 expert. Other commanders continued to stream into the palace. So many people have come, Jian Wushuang thought to himself as he sat in a corner and looked around. More than 20 people had gathered in the Huayo Palace, which included a dozen commanders and several others, who while not commanders were as strong as them. It seems like all the Stage 2 experts who stay in Iron Saber territory are here, thought Jian Wushuang. Ordinarily, Lord Commander only summons the 2 generals and several related commanders. He summoned so many of us this time. I guess something must be wrong, and probably because of that place, Lei Dao whispered to Jian Wushuang, who was next to him. That place. Jian Wushuang's heart hammered, as he realized what Lei Dao was referring to. On the majestic throne at the top of the hall sat an untidy, grim-faced, dark-haired man. That was Iron Saber Lord. A purple-robed elder stood beside him respectfully. I have summoned you today for one reason, the Lord said in a loud and cold voice as he glanced at the purple-robed elder. The purple-robed elder nodded, bowed to the generals and commanders, and raised his voice, Your Excellencies, my name is Guman Marquis Piaoshua sent me to inform you. A few days ago on the flaming battlefield, the expert team from the Iron Saber territory was attacked. Losses were heavy. 5 of the 8 experts died. The purple-robed elder quietly watched the people in the hall for their reactions. What? 5 died at the same time? Such a devastating loss? What enemies did they encounter? The entire hall fell into chaos. Jian Wushuang was grave. Lei Dao had told him about flaming battlefield. He knew that people on the flaming battlefield were crazy and cruel. Flaming battlefield was a battlefield of the experts. A stage 2 expert like Lei Dao would be regarded as ordinary on the flaming battlefield. Jian Wushuang had not had much of an opinion on flaming battlefield previously. Now, knowing that 5 experts of Iron Saber territory had died there, he was quite shocked. The 5 who had died must be stage 2 experts, perhaps stronger than Lei Dao. The flaming battlefield centers around the dispute between the 2 marquises, and has a great reputation in the vast divine land. Iron Saber Lord spoke in a chilly tone. Chapter 401 A Quota for the Expedition. Chapter 401. A Quota for the Expedition. Flaming Battlefield is a land of opportunities and accessible only to experts. It's also a cold grave in which countless bones of the dead are buried. All territories belonging to Marquis Piaoshua will send their experts to the battlefield, and so have I. I've dispatched 9 commanders. 8 fight together in one team, while the remaining 1 made a breakthrough to stage 3 during the expedition, and is striking out alone. A couple of days ago the team ran into trouble. They were ambushed. 5 were killed and 2 were badly injured. The fighting on flaming battlefield rages on, with many experts falling in battle. As the fighting continues, so does the killing. I will replace the 5 men I've lost on the battlefield. Now, I'll announce the names of the 5 men who will take their places. Iron Saber Lord's words resounded like thunder through Huoyou Palace. Iron Saber Lord's announcement caused a state of frenzied excitement in the commanders present. They had been yearning to go to flaming battlefield for a long time. Their enthusiasm was not muted by the fact that it was a place rife with dangers and risks. It was, after all, through challenges and danger that experts refined their skills and strength. Flaming battlefield was precisely a place that could test the mettle of these experts. I've been dreaming of going to flaming battlefield. I really hope I'm among the 5 lucky ones. Lei Dao growled in a low voice. Jian Wushuang also raised his head expectantly on hearing the announcement. Iron Saber Lord began to read the names of the selected experts. The first one, Yin Mo of the 2nd Army. A towering burly man who was over 2 meters tall came forward. While his expression was grim, his eyes belied his elation at being selected. Yin Mo, your strength is mediocre but your defense is excellent. When you arrive at flaming battlefield, make full use of your advantages to complement your teammates' strengths. Understood, Your Excellency. Yin Mo's voice was hoarse as he responded to the Iron Saber Lord's command. The second one, Bing Yu of the 2nd Army. A graceful woman clothed in white robes stepped out from the 2nd Army. 2 soft and thin swords were strapped on her back. Bing Yu, you're well known for your achievement in comprehending the origin of water drops. You're an expert among the commanders and highly skilled at trapping enemies. There will be many opportunities for you on flaming battlefield to stretch yourself to your fullest potential. However, you're not good at defense, so you can rely on Yin Mo when you get there, the Lord of the Iron Saber territory advised. Understood, Your Excellency. The woman nodded. Lei Dao of the 1st Army, the Lord continued. Lei Dao had been waiting in anticipation and was thrilled when his name was called. He strode forward and stood before the Lord in a respectful posture. Lei Dao, the Lord looked at him. You made repeated requests to be sent to the flaming battlefield. Today I grant your wish. Your power is explosive and you're swift. You'll be a strong force in the team. However, you'll need to overcome your impatience when you are in flaming battlefield. Understood, Your Excellency. Lei Dao nodded. He was overwhelmed with excitement. Shiling of the First Army, the Lord continued. Shiling walked forward. Unlike the others, you have no special skills or strength, but you have no weakness. The Lord said to Shiling, you are well-rounded in all skills, including speed, power, and defense. I believe you'll find your stage there. Understood, Your Excellency. Shiling nodded gravely. Among the 4 that had been selected, the First and the Second Army each accounted for 2 people. Those who had not been called became anxious. Jian Wushuang realized that the 4 had been selected because of their respective advantages. Like Mo Yan, he was good at defending. Bing Yu was an expert at trapping enemies. Lei Dao could call upon an incredible amount of power and speed in an instant. As for Shiling, he was balanced in all aspects. The last one must have a unique skill. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The last one. The Lord spoke slowly as he looked around. Everyone waited with bated breath. Swordsman of the First Army. All attention fixed on Jian Wushuang. He was astonished as he had not expected to be chosen. The commanders in the hall were similarly stunned. Jian Wushuang was a newcomer in the army. And yet he had been selected to fight on flaming battlefield. Jian Wushuang managed to shake off his shock-induced stupor and presented himself to the Iron Saber Lord. Swordsman. The Lord stared gravely at Jian Wushuang and said, you're only just joined my army, so I shouldn't have selected you. But you are mighty and most importantly, you have a unique realm technique. It's rare and would be very helpful to a strong team. Lei Dao, Shiling and those who had witnessed Jian Wushuang's blood river nodded their agreement. It was true that during the fight for blood gems, Jian Wushuang's blood river had nullified their disadvantaged position. This skill would be an advantage when they fought on flaming battlefield. Your skill will be of immense help to the team. It's possibly more useful than the skills of Lei Dao and the other 3 put together. Moreover, you have strong survival instincts. I believe you'll survive flaming battlefield if you don't encounter an expert of the heaven-defying Saint Realm or Lord's level. That's why I selected you as the last member of my team. Are you willing to go? The Lord looked at Jian Wushuang. Chapter 402 Flaming Battlefield. Chapter 402 Flaming Battlefield. Of course I'm willing to go. Jian Wushuang nodded without hesitation. Like the other commanders, he had been longing to go to flaming battlefield. The Iron Saber territory is small and lacks real experts. Since I've been here, I haven't had a chance to show my full strength or tried my best to fight. On the contrary, flaming battlefield will have many experts in Stage 3, and at the heaven-defying level of the Saint Realm. When I get there, I can use my power to its full extent. Besides, His Excellency was right. I can always protect myself using my trump cards. Even if I encounter an expert at heaven-defying level of the Saint Realm, I could still survive. Since you are fine with the arrangement, don't tarry. Go prepare yourselves. Tomorrow, you'll go to flaming battlefield with Gu Man. The Iron Saber Lord said to the 5 commanders. Yes. The 5 nodded respectfully. Soon after, the people assembled in the palace dispersed. In the First Army, Swordsman, Lei Dao and Shiling, congratulations to you all. I really envy you guys. Yao Mei Boozer and Yun He were full of admiration. The flaming battlefield is extremely dangerous. Please take care of yourselves when you get there. General Qing sounded grave. Swordsman can protect himself and Shiling is well-rounded, so I'm not worried about them. But you, Lei Dao. General Qing looked at Lei Dao and continued. His Excellency is right. You're too impetuous. This will give you trouble if you don't try to control it on flaming battlefield. I see. Lei Dao nodded heavily. The words of advice were seared in his mind. Okay. Let's stop talking and have a good drink, General Qing said with a smile. The commanders of the First Army didn't need to be told twice to start celebrating. Early the next morning, Jian Wushuang, Lei Dao, and Shiling appeared in the void above Huoyo Palace with Yan Mo and Bing Yu of the Second Army. They greeted each other. Before long, Gu Man arrived as well. "Your honors, if you're ready, let's go now," Gu Man said humbly. Gu Man worked for Marquis Piaoshu as a messenger, but he was inferior to the rest of them as he was only at stage 1 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. He had to show due respect to Jian Wushuang and the other 4, who were in stage 2. "Let's go," Jian Wushuang answered. Led by Gu Man, the 5 commanders made their way to the flaming battlefield. During their journey, Gu Man said to them, "Your honors, I have something to tell you about flaming battlefield." The 5 nodded and listened to him carefully. Flaming battlefield is named after the Flaming Mountains, an unbroken line of ridges. The whole battlefield is boundless and spans 4 million kilometers. The 5 were shocked at the information. 4 million kilometers. Even one territory was smaller than an area of 1 million square kilometers. Jian Wushuang's hometown, Nanyang Continent, covered only hundreds of thousands square kilometers. The flaming battlefield was just a battlefield, but yet its area was so vast. Even stage 2 experts like them would take a month or 2 at full speed to cover the entire area. Flaming battlefield stretches over 2 domains, and is involved in the conflict between Marquis Piaoshu and Marquis. Both of them are top experts in Divine Land. They have been fighting for their own interests for a long time. Much of the fighting has taken place on flaming battlefield. Jian Wushuang nodded imperceptibly when he heard this. In the vast Divine Land, 3 ancestors were supreme. Second to them were 10 sovereigns. After the sovereigns were 72 marquises. Since Marquis Piaoshu and Marquis Songyue were among the 72 marquises, they had to be the top experts. Jian Wushuang understood that the 2 marquises were the top experts among those in the Cloud Realm. Iron Saber Lord and Silver Wing Lord were domain lords and were in the Cloud Realms as well, but they could not hold a candle to the marquises. Naturally, the battle between the 2 marquises was intense. Many experts from the 2 marquises' camps have gathered on flaming battlefield. The fighting between the 2 camps has been endless. The weakest experts are in at least stage 2 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Usually, each territory has about 10 experts fighting on flaming battlefield. When they perish, their lords will dispatch other experts to take their places. Just like you guys, you're going there to replace those from our territory who have fallen. In addition to the experts from the 2 camps, there are also many experts from other domains on the battlefield. As a result, the number of the experts fighting on flaming battlefield is staggering. Gu Man's words stunned the 5 commanders. As there were hundreds of territories in each domain and 10 experts from each territory, the total number of the experts on the battlefield could be as high as 10,000. Everyone was shaken by the thought of so many experts at stage 2 fighting one another. It's indeed a battlefield of experts, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. By the way, you mentioned opportunities in flaming battlefield. What exactly are those opportunities? It can't be fighting all the time, right? Jian Wushuang asked Gu Man, frowning. If the opportunities referred only to killing one's opponents and challenging one's own abilities, there would not have been so many experts drawn to the battlefield. It's true that there are many opportunities on flaming battlefield, including many big ones. The opportunities one has access to depends on his achievements in battle, Gu Man answered. Battle achievement? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. One can get battle achievements by killing his opponents or accomplishing certain tasks, Gu Man explained. Chapter 403 Great Demon Dijing. Chapter 403 Great Demon Dijing. Battle achievement can be exchanged for a dizzying array of treasures and opportunities in the camp's treasure vault. The treasures are precious, but the experts on flaming battlefield value the opportunities more. The opportunities refer to the caves and mansions belonging to deceased experts, Gu Man explained. Caves and mansions? Jian Wushuang was in a daze. Lei Dao and Shiling exchanged glances. The first army commanders had explored an expert's mansion not long ago, and had found many treasures and opportunities. The opportunities were eventually seized by the Iron Saber Lord, so they had no idea of what they were. Rumor has it that there are 330 cave mansions on flaming battlefield, and all of them were left behind by experts above the Cloud Realm. Really? The five were astonished. 330 cave mansions belonging to experts above the cloud realm. Yes, this rumor has been verified. It's true, Guman smiled. Those mansions could date up to 1,000 years ago. A millennium ago, there was a great and bloodthirsty demon named Di Jing who killed many experts. He massacred numerous domains. His cruelty enraged many and finally spurred many experts into action, who gathered to kill him. However, Di Jing was very highly skilled and had reached the top level of the cloud realm. He managed to escape every siege. At last, through a concerted effort, 8 marquises and 322 cloud realm experts chased Di Jing to flaming mountains. 1,000 years may have passed, but that battle is still praised by people today. It was one of the greatest battles in the history of Divine Land, and it left in its wake desolation and innumerable ruins in flaming mountains. All 8 marquises and 322 experts perished in the battle. Di Jing disappeared. He might have died with them. The 5 commanders were stunned by the story. 8 marquises and 322 Cloud Realm experts died fighting Di Jing. How could Di Jing be so terrifying? Before the battle began, the marquises and experts knew that Di Jing was very strong, so they had been prepared for the worst. They established their cave mansions on flaming mountains and left their treasures and belongings in them. After the battle ended, many experts explored the mountains to look for the mansions. As time went by, more and more mansions were found. With those valuable mansions scattered around it, Flaming Mountains became a hotly contested spot. In particular, Marquis Piaoxue and Marquis Songyue have been fighting fiercely for it, as it's located between their domains. The ferocious fighting led to the evolution of the mountains into the flaming battlefield. Gu Man continued. The 5 fell silent when they heard this. They had never imagined that flaming battlefield had so much history. The contents of the 330 cave mansions belonging to the Cloud Realm experts and 8 marquises had tremendous value. All the experts on flaming battlefield had come for the mansions. For the last 1,000 years, many of those mansions have been discovered. Close to 100 are now controlled by Marquis Piaoxue. While many of the treasures and opportunities have been seized, there are some that have not been unearthed. For certain mansions, you can get some opportunities as long as you enter them. You'll need battle achievements to enter the mansions. Having heard and understood Gu Man's explanation, the 5 commanders nodded. Battle achievements could be gained by killing enemies or accomplishing certain tasks. The battle achievements could then be exchanged for treasures in the treasure vault, or used to enter the cave mansions. The mansions held vast opportunities. The warriors valued opportunities over the treasures. Jian Wushuang had achieved much for his young age because of the opportunities of heavenly creation skill and ancestors' land. In particular, heavenly creation skill had been of the greatest help to him. Gu Man, you said that among the 330 mansions on flaming battlefield, Marquis Piaoxue controls close to 100 of them. Does that mean there are many mansions yet to be found? Asked Jian Wushuang. Yes. Gu Man nodded. At present we have only discovered 200 mansions. The other mansions, including those belonging to 2 marquises, have not been found. Flaming battlefield covers a vast area and the mansions are deeply hidden, so it's almost like looking for a needle in a haystack. Fortunately, there are many experts on the battlefield. Generally, mansions have been discovered at intervals ranging from 2 to 10 years. However, new discoveries are always accompanied by fierce battles. Jian Wushuang agreed with Gu Man inwardly. Experts would be drawn to newly discovered mansions compared to those that were of common knowledge. Recently unearthed mansions would have more treasures. Naturally, experts would fight aggressively for them. While the 5 rushed to flaming battlefield, Gu Man continued to feed them with information about their destination. 6 days later, they finally arrived at flaming battlefield. Your Honors, the campsite of Marquis Piaoxue is below us. Let's get down there, said Gu Man with a smile. The 5 stood in the void and stared down at the huge campsite several kilometers away. From their vantage point, they saw many figures with magnificent aura. After an exchange of nods, they charged down to the campsite. Chapter 404 The Treasure Vault. Chapter 404 The Treasure Vault. As there were numerous experts gathered in the campsite, Jian Wushuang and his 4 commanders attracted little attention. Your honors, these are your ID tokens. Please refine them first. Gu Man explained as he handed them 5 tokens. Those tokens represent your identification and are in the same stage as you, which means stage 2. Each token can only be refined by its owner, so our rivals will not be able to pass themselves off as our men. On Flaming Battlefield, ID tokens claimed from experts you have killed represent your battle achievements. For example, the ID tokens of experts in Stage 2 can be exchanged for 100 battle achievement points. ID tokens of Stage 3 experts can be exchanged for 1,000 battle achievement points. As the 5 commanders listened to Gu Man, they refined their tokens. When the refinement was completed, they sensed the aura of the tokens belonging to experts near them. Experts within one camp can sense each other's token. So if I can't sense a token, it must belong to a rival camp. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Jian Wushuang also realized that there was a number inside the token. The number in his token currently stood at 0. This meant that he had obtained 0 battle achievements. Your honors, let me show you our treasure vault, Gu Man continued. The 5 commanders followed Gu Man to the treasure vault. The vault was essentially a big camp, inside which a gray-clothed elder sat with squinted eyes. As they entered the vault, the elder glanced at them and said, "The list of the treasures is beside you. Tell me what you want and pay me the corresponding battle achievement points. You'll receive the items you ask for 3 days later." The elder ignored them after he explained the treasure redemption procedure. The 5 commanders did not take offense at the elder's curtness. They took the list off the table and began to peruse it. The list mentioned various kinds of treasures, each of which required a specified level of battle achievement. Jian Wushuang spotted blood gem on the list with the number 1,000 written behind it. I need 1,000 points of battle achievement to exchange for 1 blood gem. So expensive. Jian Wushuang groused to himself. Gu Man had just explained how battle achievement points could be earned. Killing a Stage 2 expert would merely earn him 100 battle achievement points. He would need to kill a Stage 3 expert to get 1,000 battle achievement points. In other words, 1 blood gem was worth as much as the life of a Stage 3 expert. Luckily, I already have some blood gems and don't need more. Jian Wushuang was relieved. After a cursory look at the list, Jian Wushuang turned his attention to the list of the cave mansions. Marquis Piaoxue controlled a total of 99 mansions. These mansions were closely watched by many experts, and the mansions included those that had belonged to 3 marquises. Different battle achievements were required to enter different mansions. The level of battle achievement required to enter a cave mansion depended on the skill level of the mansion's owner. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up when he read the names of the 3 marquises. One mansion had been left by a marquis named Beima. Marquis Beima had a comprehensive understanding of world origin and had made incredible achievements in it. He had left 3 opportunities in his mansion. Every expert who comprehended world origin would be attracted to them. Jian Wushuang, having comprehended world origin for a long time, naturally hoped that he could explore this mansion. As the 3 marquis mansions were the most precious ones, gaining entry demanded a higher price. The price of a single entry of Marquis Beima's mansion was 100,000 points of battle achievement. Earning 100,000 battle achievement points would require killing 100 experts at Stage 3. Having gone through the lists, Jian Wushuang left the treasure vault sighing. "Your honors, it's now time to meet your captain, Sir Axe," Gu Man said. "Sir Axe?" Lei Dao looked excited. "Yes, it's him." Shiling smiled. Lei Dao and Shiling had been in Iron Saber territory for a long time. They had been on good terms with Sir Axe as the latter had been from the First Army as well before he left for Flaming Battlefield. The 5 commanders followed Gu Man into another camp and saw a burly dark-skinned man drinking alone. The man appeared to be in low spirits. There were 2 origin marks on his exposed arms. "Haha, Sir Axe." Lei Dao and Shiling laughed heartily when they saw their old friend. The man snapped his head up. "Lei Dao, Shiling, it's you." Sir Axe. Yin Mo and Bing Yu greeted the man as well. They were acquainted with Sir Axe but did not know him as well as Lei Dao. Among the 5 commanders, Jian Wushuang was the only one who had never met Sir Axe before. "Your honors, I gotta go now, enjoy your time here." Gu Man bowed. Gu Man had completed his task to escort the 5 commanders to Flaming Battlefield, and to apprise them of information about the battlefield. It was now time for him to leave. "Sir Axe, please allow me to introduce Swordsman. He had only recently become a commander and is now here with us," Lei Dao said to Sir Axe. "Sir Axe." Jian Wushuang greeted him. Sir Axe nodded at Jian Wushuang and forced a smile. It was evident that Sir Axe was in a foul mood. This was no doubt because he and his team had just encountered an attack on Flaming Battlefield and had suffered a great loss. "Sir Axe, what happened to you and your team several days ago?" Lei Dao frowned as he asked. "Alas," Sir Axe sighed. "I'm a total mess. Several days ago, 2 teams attacked us suddenly for no reason while we were doing our own jobs. They seemed to have known that we would be there. We were trapped by them and had no chance to escape. If not for the flaws in their teamwork, we would all have died there." Chapter 405 The Outer Area. Chapter 405 The Outer Area. Sir Axe looked glum as he described the incident. They had lost 5 teammates in that fight, and only 3 had survived the attack. Jian Wushuang and the others sighed. Everyone had to accept his own fate. Adventuring in Flaming Battlefield was just like dancing on a blade. "Who are the other 2 who survived with you?" Lei Dao asked. "Feng Zi and Zhang Feng," Sir Axe answered. "They were badly wounded and are still recovering. I guess they'll regain their peak fitness in 2 to 3 days. We'll have to wait until then before we can fight again." "No problem." Lei Dao nodded gravely. Since they were very close to the battlefield, they did not mind waiting another 2 or 3 days. 3 days later, the 2 wounded teammates had both recovered. The 8 men gathered to prepare for a new adventure. "Listen up, Flaming Battlefield is dangerous. Your carelessness could kill you. You'll have to follow my orders when we're on the battlefield. Do not hesitate to kill or escape when I tell you to, okay?" Sir Axe warned. "Okay." Jian Wushuang and the others nodded. Among the 8 of them, apart from Jian Wushuang, Sir Axe was the strongest. He also had the most experience and was therefore highly regarded and trusted by his teammates. "Before we leave, tell me your strength and best skills. Let's get a better understanding of each other," Sir Axe added. "I'm good at defense." Yin Mo spoke first. Lei Dao, Shiling, and Bingyu described their strengths to Sir Axe as well. When it was Jian Wushuang's turn, he smiled. "My body's quite strong and I have strong survival skills. I also know one realm technique." The words were barely out of his mouth when Lei Dao chimed in. "His realm technique is brilliant. It's helped us a lot." "That's fine." Sir Axe glanced at Jian Wushuang, but he didn't take Lei Dao's words seriously. "Well, let's go now." The 8 of them left for Flaming Battlefield. Oh, Flaming Battlefield was both a battlefield and grave for experts. It stretched across 4 million kilometers and was divided into 3 parts: perimeter, outer area, and inner area. It took Jian Wushuang and his team 5 days to arrive at the outer area of Flaming Battlefield from their camp. "From this moment on, we must be careful," Sir Axe said solemnly. Unlike the edges of the battlefield, they would encounter many rivals once they stepped into the outer area. "We are a strong team and won't face too much danger unless we encounter another extremely strong team, or a joint attack from more than one team. But we should still be careful," Sir Axe said while surveilling the immediate environment. "Zhang Feng, you have the most acute senses among us, so you go on ahead of us." "Okay." Zhang Feng, who was clothed in green robes, led the way. "Yin Mo, you have the best defensive skills, so you stay behind us as a defender. The rest of you line up between them," Sir Axe ordered. "Understood." The teammates nodded and obeyed the order. They marched forward slowly. "I hope we don't have to wait too long for our first battle," Lei Dao said excitedly to Jian Wushuang, who walked beside him. Hearing his words, Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. He shared Lei Dao's feelings. But it was not easy to run into rivals in such a vast land. They did not see a single soul for the next 3 days on the battlefield. 3 days have passed, and there has been nothing, not even a ghost. Lei Dao was impatient. Lei Dao, don't you remember what His Excellency told you before we left? Shi Ling looked at Lei Dao. Lei Dao curled his lips. He was raring to fight. At this moment, Zhang Feng suddenly shouted from ahead, "Someone is coming." Everyone looked ahead and saw several black figures in the distance. The black figures were far away but were rapidly closing the distance between them and the Iron Saber commanders. "They are from our own camp," Zhang Feng said as he sensed the aura of black figures' tokens. Only experts from the same camp could sense each other's tokens. Everyone was relieved, but Lei Dao was disappointed. He was upset that the fight he had expected would not materialize. Everyone stay alert. On Flaming Battlefield, experts from your own side could turn against you because for treasures and battle achievements. Sir Axe warned. Jian Wushuang was contemplative when he heard Sir Axe's cautionary words. The black figures finally arrived in front of the team. A bare-headed man led the team of 7. This man, who had a huge axe mark on his body, looked at Sir Axe with interest. "Sir Axe, it's been a while since we last met." The man smiled coldly and continued, "I heard that you suffered a devastating defeat and lost most of your men during the fight several days ago. I really admire your courage to return." "Where I go is none of your business, Fengzhu," Sir Axe replied coolly. "Yeah, you're right. I'm just wondering how many men from your new team will join the bones that are already buried underground." Fengzhu smirked and gestured to his men. "Let's go." Fengzhu cast a final look at Sir Axe and led his men away. This guy. It was obvious that Sir Axe and Fengzhu held grudges against each other. "Decades ago when I wandered alone, I clashed with him and left that axe mark on his body," Sir Axe said in an expressionless tone. 2 years ago we met again on Flaming Battlefield and fought a fierce battle. We were equally strong and from the same camp, so the fight ended without a result. Since then, he has held a grudge against me." "Oh, I see." Sir Axe's explanation clarified the situation for Jian Wushuang and the rest. "Well, enough about him, let's continue our march." Sir Axe continued his journey with the others. Chapter 406 The First Fight. Chapter 406. The First Fight. It was a sweltering summer day. The sun baked the ground and the air was hot and dry. Jian Wushuang and his teammates had traveled outer area for several days, but they had not encountered any teams from the hostile camp. Lei Dao, who was easily irritable, looked impatient, while the other members were calm. "Lei Dao, it's been a long time since we last met. You still haven't changed." Sir Axe cast a slight smile at Lei Dao. "I've always been like that," Lei Dao replied with a shrug. Suddenly, boom! A violent roar sounded from a distance, followed by a faint stream of power. "What's this?" They immediately looked in the direction of the noise. "A fierce fight ahead?" Sir Axe's eyes lit up. "Haha, it's time for us to fight." Lei Dao laughed. There were only 2 camps on the entire Flaming Battlefield. If there was a fierce fight, it must have been initiated by a group from the rival camp. "Let's go. Hurry up." Sir Axe hustled the rest along. The group sped up toward the fighting ahead. As they approached, understanding dawned on them. The 2 groups engaged in the raging battle were both strong. However, one side had lost 2 members and seemed to be at a huge disadvantage. This squad began to run in the direction of Jian Wushuang and his teammates. The leader of this squad, a brown-haired man, had been pleasantly surprised when he saw Jian Wushuang's group approach. "We're in the same camp. Please do me a favor," the brown-haired man said. Sir Axe looked from the brown-haired man to the squad of Marquis Songyue. He nodded. "Okay. Go." Sir Axe issued his command discreetly. Jian Wushuang, Lei Dao, and the other commanders charged toward the squad of Marquis Songyue. The brown-haired man turned to rejoin the fight. Hey, this our first fight in Flaming Battlefield. We have to win." Lei Dao licked his lips. His eyes were eager. Jian Wushuang considered the Marquis Songyue squad. Their leader was a young man in cyan clothes who radiated evil. When he realized that he could not sense the tokens of the newcomers, his face fell. Damn it! Another squad from Marquis Piaoxua. The young man's eyes were flinty as he gestured to his squad. Leave now. His squad obeyed and retreated. Their squad was not strong enough to fight against more than a squad of 8 people. They did not have the ability to deal with 2 squads. Lei Dao was anxious as the rival squad retreated. He shouted to Jian Wushuang, "Swordsman, we're depending on you. Don't let them run away." Lei Dao was unwilling to miss this rare opportunity to fight. Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded imperceptibly. An overwhelming surge of sword essence rose from his body. Invisible waves of sword essence rapidly radiated outwards and covered the entire area. As the Marquis Songyue squad was close to Jian Wushuang, they immediately felt the effects of his sword realm and were suppressed. What? The Marquis Songyue experts were astonished as their movement was greatly hampered. It was as though they were stuck in mud. Sir Axe and his comrades were elated. "Swordsman, good job," Sir Axe praised Jian Wushuang. They began to hunt down their opponents. Crap. The Marquis Songyue experts panicked, but they could only try their best to resist the advances of Sir Axe's quad. As they launched counterattacks, they realized that Sword Realm also had an effect of suppressing their strength. What an odd skill this is. The rival squad's leader looked terrified. With the help of Sword Realm, Jian Wushuang and his comrades gained an advantage over their opponents. Furthermore, the overall strength of 2 squads was far superior to that of the Marquis Songyue squad. They were therefore able to overwhelm the latter with ease. The Marquis Songyue squad managed to hold out for a while. Then they started losing ground. Run! Run in a different direction. The rival squad's leader looked grave as he cried out. His escape was blocked by Sir Axe and the brown-haired man. Being team leaders, all 3 of them were at the peak of Stage 2 and had 2 origin marks. However, the rival squad leader had to fight 2 leaders while being under the influence of Sword Realm. He faced imminent death. "You can't run." Lei Dao sneered, eyes shining with frenzied excitement. Together with his comrades, he continued to pursue the rival experts. The Marquis Songyue experts were terrified. Under the influence of Sword Realm, they were unable to escape. But right at this moment, "Haha, Sir Axe. You're very lucky." Laughter reverberated through the area. A squad appeared nearby. The Marquis Songyue experts were in despair. The squad that had just appeared was also from Marquis Piaoxua camp. This squad had previously fought with Jian Wushuang and his teammates. Their leader was Feng Zhu, who had a grudge against Sir Axe. At the sight of Feng Zhu, Sir Axe's face darkened. His team had been on the cusp of winning this fight. They would have shared the battle achievements when their opponents were killed. Now that Feng Zhu had appeared with his squad, it did not bode well for them. Chapter 407 Swordsman's Realm. Chapter 407 Swordsman's Realm. "Feng Zhu, why are you here?" Sir Axe asked in an icy tone. "Why? I'm here to help you, of course." Feng Zhu sneered. I don't need your help. You'd better leave immediately." Sir Axe snorted. "Heh, it's not up to you." Feng Zhu laughed. He gestured to his squad. "Take action." Feng Zhu and his people rushed toward the squad of Marquis Songyue. Damn it! Jian Wushuang and his teammates were annoyed by the turn of events. Feng Zhu claimed that he had come to help, but his real intention was to get the battle achievements that would be up for grabs once the Marquis Songyue squad was vanquished. "You want to grab our battle achievements?" Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold. His aggression and fury were palpable. His killing intent materialized as an immense blood-colored river. It was rode to the underworld. Blood River tumbled and covered the whole area. Gosh! The strength of the Marquis Songyue experts had already been weakened by Sword Realm. The deterioration in their strength was now exacerbated by Blood River, and they were unable to stabilize their stances. Their strength was suppressed to a new low. The Blood River surged toward Feng Zhu and his people, causing their speed to decrease. What's this? Feng Zhu and his people looked at the Blood River in shock. Hurry up! Go kill the experts of Marquis Songyue. Jian Wushuang shouted. Okay, Lei Dao and the other commanders started to strike with their best moves. As the Marquis Songyue experts were greatly weakened, they were unable to withstand the attacks. All of them perished, including their leader, who was killed by Sir Axe. Calm was restored to the area. Feng Zhu and his people looked grave as they fixed their eyes on Jian Wushuang. This man has a powerful skill. That realm he displayed was so powerful. The Blood River slowed the Marquis Songyue squad so much that they were unable to escape. The realm is too terrifying. It was terrifying indeed. Jian Wushuang's realm technique would make it possible for one squad to defeat an equally skilled squad. The realm technique could also restrict speed of opponents so that they could not run away. Any squad that had such an odd and terrifying technique at their disposal would be a force to reckon with. Feng Zhu was envious of Sir Axe. Feng Zhu, sorry, it looks like you will get nothing from this trip. Sir Axe sneered as he looked at Feng Zhu. Feng Zhu and his squad had been affected by Jian Wushuang's realm technique. They had not been able to attack the Marquis Songyue experts and therefore could not share the battle achievements. You're lucky to have such brilliant expert. Feng Zhu considered Jian Wushuang. Sir Axe could not help but laugh as he looked at Jian Wushuang with the same appraising look. He recalled Jian Wushuang's words. I have a strong body and won't be easily killed. I've also mastered one realm technique. Jian Wushuang's tone had been casual. Lei Dao had commented that Jian Wushuang's realm technique was formidable and would be of great help to the squad. At that time, Sir Axe had not taken him seriously. Sir Axe now knew that he had a valuable asset. Jian Wushuang's technique was something that every squad desired. Jian Wushuang had fully exerted the effect of the realm technique. Boy, what's your name? Feng Zhu looked at Jian Wushuang and asked. Swordsman, replied Jian Wushuang indifferently. Swordsman. Feng Zhu frowned. Your realm technique is very useful. Would you be interested to join my squad? If you agree, you'll get 30% of all the battle achievements we earn. What do you think? Feng Zhu, Sir Axe voiced his objections. Lei Dao and his teammates looked at Jian Wushuang. Feng Zhu had given Jian Wushuang very attractive terms. However, Jian Wushuang did not hesitate and shook his head. Sorry, I'm not interested. Oh, Feng Zhu frowned. In that case, let me know if you change your mind. Feng Zhu then left with his people. Gentlemen, thanks a lot. See you. The experts who had been attacked by the Marquis Songyue squad clasped their hands with Jian Wushuang and his teammates. Then they left. All the battle achievements belonged to Jian Wushuang and his teammates. Sir Axe began to distribute the battle achievements to his squad. Allocation was easy. They had killed 8 opponents and received 8 ID tokens, which represented 800 battle achievements, so each of them would get 100 battle achievements. But if the treasures were distributed equally, it would be unfair to Jian Wushuang, who had contributed the most. Therefore, Sir Axe decided to give Jian Wushuang more treasures. The 8 dead experts had held numerous treasures in their interspatial rings. Jian Wushuang received 30% of the treasures. No one disagreed with it. It was an unspoken agreement that whoever contributed the most in Flaming Battlefield would get the most treasures. Chapter 408, the same ending? Chapter 408. The same ending. Scenes of slaughter were seen throughout Flaming Battlefield. Jian Wushuang and his teammates had been on the battlefield for half a month. A magnificent blood river spread across the vast sky and cast a shadow over the entire area. A squad of Marquis Songyue experts was mired in the blood river. Being heavily suppressed by the blood river, they were in a state of fright and shock. Haha! Kill them all! Sir Axe growled a command and his people charged forward. Helped by the blood river, they had an advantage over their opponents. The Marquis Songyue squad could not escape as their mobility was curtailed under the influence of the blood river. A ferocious battle ensued, with the 7 experts killed by Jian Wushuang and his comrades. This feels so good. Sir Axe was delighted. He looked over at Jian Wushuang. Swordsman, your realm technique is really awesome. The other commanders shared his sentiments. Over the past half-month, they had encountered 3 squads from Marquis Songyue. For the first encounter, They had vanquished an enemy squad with the help of realm technique. The second time they had met a more powerful squad. Fighting had been intense and they had almost lost. Fortunately, the realm technique had enabled them to eventually draw with the hostile squad. The third time they had slaughtered the enemy squad they encountered. Their success on the battlefield could be attributed to Jian Wushuang's blood river. The powerful technique affected strength and speed, rendering their opponents helpless against their attacks. This made it easy to dispatch their opponents. Sir Axe and the other 6 experts were ecstatic at their battle successes. While they were engaged with slaughtering the third squad, Jian Wushuang and his comrades were unaware that a black-robed woman had appeared on a barren mountain, a distance away. "Shadow, what's up?" An elder with sword-shaped eyebrows looked over. The black-robed woman belonged to a powerful squad. 2 of its 10 members had reached the peak of Stage 2. "I left a mark on that magic weapon. Now I can feel it," the black-robed woman said tonelessly. "Oh," the elder responded, eyes lighting up. "That means that the person I intentionally released has returned to Flaming Battlefield." "Yeah, I think so." The black-robed woman nodded. "It seems that we'll be getting more battle achievements." The elder smirked. He issued an order to an expert next to him. "Tell Wu Hong to bring his squad." "Yes." The expert responded and left to deliver the message. Half a day later, a squad of 10 experts arrived. They were led by a savage-looking man with unruly hair. The elder smiled. "Wu Hong, my brother, will make a bundle." "A bundle?" Wu Hong was surprised. "Is it the man whom we released?" "Yes, it's him." The elder nodded with a smile. "When I let him go, I guessed that he would return. Just as I expected. This time, I'm sure he must have brought a squad with him." Wu Hong grinned. "Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go right now." "No hurry. Shadow left a mark on them so they can't escape us." "We don't need to rush," the elder explained laughingly. "You need to exercise caution. It hasn't been peaceful in outer area recently. Many squads disappeared without a trace. They must have been killed by others. Don't follow in their footsteps," Shadow said with a frown. "Our 2 squads are strong. Do we need to worry? Moreover, we've done this several times. It'll be easy for us to manage." The elder sneered. The 2 squads, including 3 experts at the peak of Stage 2, set off from the mountain. They headed toward Jian Wushuang and his comrades. Oh! Jian Wushuang and his comrades slowly glided through the sky. His comrades were in a celebratory mood as they had gained much over the past half-month. However, Jian Wushuang was ambivalent. He had felt unchallenged during the fights. He had come to the battlefield to test himself against experts at higher levels. In outer area, squads were usually comprised of Stage 2 experts, who posed little threat to him. Jian Wushuang was raring to enter inner area to fight with more powerful experts. As Jian Wushuang was deep in contemplation, 10 black figures appeared on the horizon. "Someone is coming." Zongfeng, who was leading the group, sounded a warning. The others raised their heads to look. They were surprised to see the approaching figures in front of them. Soon they realized that another 10 figures had appeared behind them. What? The sudden appearance of these people startled the group. Sir Axe stared at the leader of the approaching squad and was shocked when he realized who it was. Zongfeng and Fengzi were also dumbstruck. "That's them." Sir Axe, Zongfeng, and Fengzi recognized the group. Not long ago, before Jian Wushuang had arrived at Flaming Battlefield, their squad had encountered the same people in outer area. Then they had been surrounded by 20 people, making it impossible for them to escape. 5 of their teammates had been killed. 3 of them were lucky enough to escape. But now, the same people, the same situation. Would the outcome be the same? Chapter 409 Jian Wushuang Erupt. Chapter 409 Jian Wushuang Erupt. How can it be possible? Sir Axe, Zongfeng, and Fengzi were petrified. There were so many squads in the vast outer area that it was almost impossible for 2 squads to meet twice. However, they had now run into the same people. The situation was exactly the same. "It's a trap. These people must have left marks on us or on our treasures. Having fallen for the same trap twice, Sir Axe realized that the rival squad had specifically targeted them. Lei Dao, Shiling, Yanemo, and Bingyu looked sick with worry. The two hostile squads had surrounded them, cutting off all openings for escape. It was difficult for them to escape, but if they had a head-on confrontation, 3 of the 20 opponents were experts at the peak of Stage 2. As for Sir Axe's squad, only Sir Axe himself had the battle strength of the peak of Stage 2. The immense gap in strength between the two groups could not be bridged even with Jian Wushuang's realm technique. It's over. Sir Axe involuntarily trembled in fear. Swordsman Zongfeng Fengzi Lei Dao Shiling Yanemo Bingyu, Sir Axe called. There was a hint of despair in his eyes. The two squads must have left a mark on me, or on one of my treasures. I'm afraid that they deliberately released me after they ambushed my squad the last time. Their intention was to ambush me again. They have 20 experts, including 3 at the peak of Stage 2. We will not be able to fight them, so follow my orders later and find an opportunity to escape. We might yet survive with the help of Swordsman's realm technique. Let's do our best. Sir Axe roared. Bastard, even if I have to die, I'll drag you down with me, Lei Dao said. His eyes were frenzied. Try our best. We won't make it easy for them to kill us. Zongfeng, Shiling, and the other comrades were resolute. Crazed determination shone in their eyes. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed. I have to use my full strength this time. The two hostile squads approached. Jian Wushuang and his comrades were besieged by them. The elder with sword-shaped eyebrows looked at his opponents and sneered. I let them go the last time to catch a bigger fish. It's now time to take my hook back. Right, we can't use the same trick again, a fat middle-aged man, an expert at the peak of Stage 2, said. We don't need to show mercy. Let's kill them all. The elder with sword-shaped eyebrows responded in an icy voice. Let's do it. The two hostile squads obeyed the elder's order and charged forward. Boom! 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 Strong waves of power propagated through the area and shook the ground. The 20 experts darted toward Jian Wushuang and his comrades from all directions. Most of them had fevered looks in their eyes. Some of the attackers cackled loudly. Swordsman, display your realm. Gentlemen, let's fight, Sir Axe said, barely hiding the desperation in his voice. The battle started. A terrifying sword essence suddenly erupted from the squad of 8 experts. Sir Axe and Lei Dao looked toward its source and saw 2 tremendous sword soul phantoms rise. Each being almost 100 feet tall, the sword soul phantoms towered above them like mountains. Splendid, terrifying sword essence radiated from the 2 sword soul phantoms. 30 feet of sword soul phantom was 3rd grade, while 100 feet of sword soul phantom was considered 1st grade. This meant that there were 2 first-grade sword souls. It was therefore not surprising that the sword essence was so powerful. Gosh! What's this? Sword soul phantom. Sir Axe, Lei Dao, Shiling, Yanemo and other comrades were stunned. The 2 sword soul phantoms were so close to them that they could feel their effects more than the others. Swordsman! Sir Axe looked at the owner of the 2 sword soul phantoms. It was Jian Wushuang. Oh! Jian Wushuang was emotionless as he turned his palm upwards. The triple kill sword appeared in his hand. The power of the first-grade magic weapon immediately radiated outwards. This was accompanied by a mighty blood river which swept out and covered the entire area. The 2 hostile squads were trapped in it. The invisible sword realm hung over the blood river. Jian Wushuang had just performed Road to the Underworld and Tenfold Realm. The power from the double first-grade sword souls gathered in Jian Wushuang's body. Jian Wushuang had reached his peak strength when he produced the triple kill sword. He stepped forward, crossed in front of his comrades and stood in front of the elder, who had been leading the charge. Jian Wushuang brandished his triple kill sword ruthlessly. The strike was silent and was accompanied by neither sword light nor shadow. Nevertheless, the elder with sword-shaped eyebrows and his squad felt an impending sense of doom. Damn it! The elder had recognized the 2 sword soul phantoms. The blood river also imposed great pressure on them. Jian Wushuang's strike chilled the elder's blood. Quick, let's block him together. The elder with sword-shaped eyebrows shouted. His people started to display their best killing moves. The elder with sword-shaped eyebrows and the fat middle-aged man also exerted their full strength. However, shua! An invisible wave gave off a faint glow in the dazzling sunshine. It was a streak of sword light, which was almost imperceptible as it flashed across the sky. Chapter 410 Solitary Travel. Chapter 410 Solitary Travel. Ah! How is this possible? The Marquis Songyue experts were hysterical. They looked at Jian Wushuang in fury. They were well aware that the strike had been powerful. This stroke. The elder widened his eyes and murmured. He spat out a mouthful of blood. With the exception of the fat middle-aged man, all his people were terrified. Some had their bodies cleaved into halves. Others had their magic weapons smashed. Still others had been decapitated or had their organs pulverized. 8 of his people collapsed while he and the fat middle-aged man were seriously injured. It had only been one strike. He is in stage 3. The elder with sword-shaped eyebrows thought in a daze. Jian Wushuang's attack was more powerful than that of an ordinary stage 3 expert. Jian Wushuang's realm had suppressed the strength of the elder and his comrades. This had resulted in 8 of them perishing. Stage 3 experts are rare in the vast outer area. How did I run into one? The elder was petrified. Using their special tactics, he and his squad had been relatively successful in hunting the squads of Marquis Piaoxue. Nonetheless, setting a trap was not foolproof. Now he was encountering a powerful opponent. A stage 3 expert was much stronger than a stage 2 expert. He would be able to take on an entire squad on his own. A stronger stage 3 expert would even be able to slaughter all its members. With double first-grade sword soul and realm technique, Jian Wushuang's battle strength could be compared to a more powerful stage 3 expert, so he was able to kill 8 opponents with ease. Whoosh! A lightning bolt flashed across the blood river and appeared in front of the elder and the fat middle-aged man. 2 streaks of sword light slashed out. Aided by the sword soul's power, the sword light pierced the air and headed towards the 2 opponents, who tried to parry the attack. However, they were much weaker than Jian Wushuang. Chi! Chi! The 2 streaks of sword light easily penetrated their bodies. Jian Wushuang had just killed all 10 opponents. The barbarian witnessed Jian Wushuang's massacre of the other squad, and immediately beat a hasty retreat with his people. Having dispatched the elder and the fat middle-aged man, Jian Wushuang realized he could not hunt the other squad down as they had disappeared. Calm was restored in the area. Jian Wushuang's comrades had witnessed the events and were in shock. Jian Wushuang withdrew his aura. The 2 sword soul phantoms and the blood river gradually dissipated. Jian Wushuang walked over to them. Swordsman, you! Sir Axe stared speechlessly at Jian Wushuang. This was an intense battle, and must have aroused the attention of many people. Let's leave now and talk later, Jian Wushuang suggested. Okay. Sir Axe nodded. The squad departed. Half a day later they stopped at a mountain. Haha, Swordsman, you're amazing. Lei Dao, who was on good terms with Jian Wushuang, gave him a big hug. Swordsman! Swordsman! Sir Axe, Shi Ling, and the other comrades looked at Jian Wushuang in admiration and gratitude. They had been prepared to fight to the death. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang had killed all members of the Elder's squad. I should have thought of it. How could an expert who owns realm technique be only at stage 2? Sir Axe exclaimed, Sword Soul Phantom has always been something we aspired to. On the topic of Sword Soul Phantom, the other experts could not hold back their acclaim. The soul strength was powerful but strange. There was a level higher than the 3 ultimate stages of the Saint Realm, the nature-defying level. An expert at nature-defying level was not much weaker than a Cloud Realm expert. This was because he held the power from the awakening soul. Jian Wushuang had awakened double first-grade sword souls, and would be the subject of much envy. You have great battle strength, although you have not condensed any origin marks. When you do so, your strength will increase exponentially. Then you may become as strong as experts at nature-defying level. If you condense more origin marks, you will catch up with lords, Sir Axe said enviously. Swordsman, you hid your strengths well. Too powerful. The others sighed with emotion. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, but his expression soon turned grave. Sir Axe, gentlemen, I have to tell you something. Lei Dao and the others looked at Jian Wushuang. I want to go to inner area alone, Jian Wushuang said. His comrades exchanged looks and laughed. We've all guessed what you want, Sir Axe said with a smile. All experts who possess the battle strength of Stage 3 travel alone in flaming battlefield, and most of them will stay in inner area. Only we, experts at Stage 2, team up and stay in outer area. Based on your battle strength, you're even stronger than an expert at Stage 3. Inner area is the right place for you. Sir Axe and others were not surprised by Jian Wushuang's decision. His realm technique was useful, and they were reluctant to let him go. But they knew that someone with his abilities should go to inner area. Outer area was a place for experts at Stage 2. It would not challenge Jian Wushuang. Inner area, which was full of the experts at Stage 3, was more suitable for Jian Wushuang. Chapter 411 The Inner Area. Chapter 411 The Inner Area. I've never been to inner area, but I do know something about it since I've been on the battlefield for a long time. Sir Axe handed a file to Jian Wushuang. This is information on the experts who adventure there all year round. Information on experts? Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up as he took the file. Thanks a lot. Hey guys, I have to go now. Jian Wushuang exchanged some words. Sir Axe bid his farewells to the rest and departed. Sir Axe, Lei Dao and Shiling watched Jian Wushuang's retreating figure with complex expressions writ over their faces. Inner area, Lei Dao muttered. When can I take my adventure there? I really envy Swordsman. When you've condensed 3 origin marks and stepped into Stage 3, you can go, Sir Axe looked at Lei Dao and said. Lei Dao smiled bitterly. Condensing an origin mark was a difficult process. At present, Lei Dao had condensed only 1 mark, so he didn't know if that day would come. Well, now Swordsman is gone. Without his realm technique, our team will be weakened significantly. Let's go back to our camp before making further plans. Sir Axe suggested. Okay. The others nodded at Sir Axe's words. On the vast flaming battlefield, Jian Wushuang read the file that Sir Axe had given him as he slowly walked forward. He wasn't worried about running into trouble at outer area as the experts would only be at Stage 2. If they caused him trouble, they were courting death. Inner area is not as vast as outer area, but the killing there is crueler and the experts there are numerous. Jian Wushuang was excited. From the file, he gleaned a lot of useful information. The data covered over 1,000 experts who fought in inner area. These experts were either at Stage 3 and had condensed 3 origin marks or had excellent techniques with mighty power equivalent to Stage 3. Jian Wushuang belonged to the latter category. The strength of different experts at Stage 3 would differ. In the file, Stage 3 experts were divided into 3 groups: ordinary level, high level, and the top level. Between levels, there was a small but not negligible difference in strength. In addition to this, the file had also recorded 6 experts at heaven-defying level, but they only showed up in inner area occasionally. Heaven-defying level. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed. Most of experts at this level had awoken their souls like Jian Wushuang and were super geniuses. Few such experts could be found in one domain, so it was really rare to see 6 such geniuses on flaming battlefield. With my current power and the power from my active sword soul, I should be at the ordinary level of Stage 3. I should be able to survive on the battlefield unless I encounter an expert at heaven-defying level. Not even a top expert at Stage 3 can kill me now. Jian Wushuang thought to himself as he approached the inner area. Several days later, Jian Wushuang arrived at his destination. Compared to the outer area, the air in the inner area was hotter and filled with more red mist. When will I meet my first opponent in inner area? Jian Wushuang wandered around expectantly. In inner area, an encounter with an expert depended on chance. With a bit of luck, he might meet 2 or 3 experts from rival camps in a single day. Otherwise, he might have to adventure in vain for a prolonged period. In the void, a slender elder in green robes walked forward. His face was expressionless. His pace appeared slow, but with each step he crossed hundreds of meters. In the space of several steps he crossed mountains and plains. Just as the elder passed a mountain, he noticed a black-robed youth who was moving slowly not far away. I can't sense his token. He's an enemy. The elder narrowed his eyes, which were as sharp as an eagle's eyes. Taking one step forward, the elder drew close to the youth. The youth, Jian Wushuang, raised his head when he sensed the elder. He smiled. Lucky me. I've been in inner area only for half a day, and here comes my target. Jian Wushuang smirked as he quickly recalled the information on related experts. The file that Sir Axe had given him included portraits of the experts. That information helped Jian Wushuang recognize the elder. Wind Demon. Jian Wushuang's smile widened. Oh. Boy, I've never seen you before. Are you a newcomer? The elder stared at Jian Wushuang with a frown. Experts like the elder had been in inner area for a long time and were familiar with each other, so new faces stood out to them. I'm Swordsman, and you are the first person I'm meeting in this place, Jian Wushuang said flatly. Swordsman? Never heard of you, said Wind Demon coldly. Not everyone deserves to be in inner area, but since you are here, let's see whether you're qualified to make a living on this land. As the elder's words fell, a fierce wind rolled up from his body. A strong aura rose like a storm and encircled him. Boom! The storm stirred the air and swept toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang looked impassive. He stood still and looked at the storm with his eyes flickering. This will be my first battle in inner area. It'll also be my first battle in divine land that I'll have to try my best to fight. Wind Demon, don't let me down. Chapter 412 The First Battle in Inner Area. Chapter 412 The First Battle in Inner Area. Jian Wushuang was filled with anticipation for the battle. He had been waiting for this moment for so long. After he entered divine land, he had held his power back for every battle. He had wanted to push himself to his peak power during the fights, but he hadn't been forced to that point. For the battle where he and his team had been trapped in outer area, he had erupted with his full power and killed all his opponents. However, it had happened so quickly and was over before he could enjoy the fight. He had not had a chance to show his real strength until this moment in inner area. Let's fight. Jian Wushuang directed a fiery gaze at the coming storm. Abruptly, the storm's progress stopped and a spooky figure dived out from it. This figure split the void and approached Jian Wushuang swiftly. So fast. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Based on what he had read, he knew that while Wind Demon was an ordinary expert at Stage 3, he was good at comprehending Gale Origin and had a terrifying moving speed, of which many top experts at Stage 3 were jealous. Jian Wushuang was cautious and unleashed his triple-kill sword, which struck forward like a dragon. The skill he displayed was the dragon-killing sword technique, a first-grade sword technique that he had gained in Sword Tower. This was just the first move, but its power was astounding. Wind Demon looked calm. With a twist of his hands he made a fist. As his fist collided with Jian Wushuang's sword, the sword shook. Wind Demon then gathered a large amount of Gale Origin and shaped it into a long spear. The spear radiated with a chilling aura as it targeted Jian Wushuang's head. The spear pierced through the void at an amazing speed. Jian Wushuang managed to lift his longsword just in time to hold the spear off. He was forced backward several hundred meters before he could stabilize his stance. Boy, don't tell me that is all you have. Wind Demon looked down at Jian Wushuang from the void. Wind Demon hadn't shown his full strength, and yet he had overpowered Jian Wushuang. From the moves they had exchanged, he could tell that Jian Wushuang was far from reaching Stage 3. Jian Wushuang remained silent, but his eyes grew bright as powerful killing intent swept over him. Azura's secret skill. Road to the underworld. Boom! A blood river spread across the sky. It covered most of the area and hung over Wind Demon. Sword Realm, Tenfold Realm. Slaughter Domain. Jian Wushuang displayed two more techniques. The three skills worked in concert to press Wind Demon downward. How powerful his realm is. Even I'm suppressed by it. As Wind Demon was lost in thought, he suddenly sensed an overpowering sword essence. He immediately looked toward its source and paled visibly when he saw two huge sword soul phantoms rising behind Jian Wushuang. Sword soul phantom. Two sword soul phantoms of 30 meters tall. Wind Demon was stunned. Few experts on Flaming Battlefield had awakened souls, and Jian Wushuang was the first expert he had met with two awakened souls. Wind Demon, let's try another round. Jian Wushuang's eyes sparkled. Swish. Covered by sword essence, Jian Wushuang turned into a sharp sword that cut through the void toward Wind Demon. As Jian Wushuang swung the triple kill sword at Wind Demon, the two sword soul phantoms attacked with him. The power of the sword soul flowed to the sword and elevated the force of the attack to a new peak. Wind Demon looked grave as he saw the approaching sword and heard its piercing scream. He showed his power of top stage 2 in the previous attack. Now, with the help of double sword souls, his attack has become more powerful than mine. Wind Demon was experienced in fighting, so he was able to assess the situation. Streams of green energy rose up from his feet like wind. Jian Wushuang's sword pierced Wind Demon's chest, but he quickly realized that it was a shadow and not Wind Demon's real flesh. Wind Demon reappeared beside Jian Wushuang. How could he be so fast even when affected by my realm? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. He thought he had been fast, but Wind Demon was swifter even when being repressed by the Blood River. Wind Shadow Kill. Wind Demon stretched his hands at Jian Wushuang. From his fingers, streams of green energy gathered together into more than 10 sharp spikes. The spikes glowed with cyan light under the sun. They turned into beams of light that rushed toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang tried to dodge all the spikes, but one spike found its target on Jian Wushuang's shoulder and cut his skin. Wind Demon was astonished. The spikes were not that powerful, but with so many of them and at their high speeds, they should have done more damage than just causing a superficial wound to Jian Wushuang. He has a very strong body, Wind Demon reasoned. Suddenly, he felt a fierce wind behind him. He turned around and found a scarlet palm formed by the Blood River aimed at him. The palm slapped at Wind Demon. Wind Demon regained his balance. His body flashed, leaving shadows in the Blood River. In the very next moment, he appeared in the sky far away, beyond the reach of the river. Standing at the center of the river, Jian Wushuang glanced at Wind Demon. Swordsman, you're indeed powerful. I'm looking forward to fighting you next time. After saying this, Wind Demon disappeared. Is he gone? Jian Wushuang sighed as he watched Wind Demon leave. Chapter 413 Shueluo. Chapter 413 Shueluo. How terrifying his speed was. He was faster than me even when repressed by my realm. It seems that few in the inner area would be able to take his life. Jian Wushuang thought. At his full power and with the help of his realm, he had barely overpowered Wind Demon. With Jian Wushuang's current skills, it was impossible for him to kill Wind Demon. But having been in this fight, I now know my power much better. Jian Wushuang mused. Wind Demon was just at the ordinary level of stage 3, far from the top level. However, with his speed, he still stood a chance of holding his own against an expert at the top level. This meant that Jian Wushuang, who had overpowered Wind Demon in the recently concluded battle, should be at the high level of stage 3. It was an achievement. By the way, Jian Wushuang's expression changed as he waved his hand. A scarlet figure immediately appeared beside him. It was a burly man clad in red armor, boots and a helmet. The man looked emotionless and his eyes were cold. He was none other than the blood puppet. Jian Wushuang had owned this puppet for a long time, but he did not know the full extent of its power. As he had a supply of blood gems, he was eager to find an opponent on whom he could test the puppet's strength. He would be able to do this in inner area. The puppet fighter made by Sword Ancestor. I'm anticipating witnessing your power. With these expectations, Jian Wushuang resumed his adventure in inner area. A strong man dressed in a short coat and long pants walked with quiet footsteps. He towered over 2 meters and had hair as yellow as a lion's, a snub nose and big mouth. Marquis Piaoshua's underlings are all cowards. They run from me like rabbits running from a lion. The man scanned the area with his golden eyes, trying to find his target. His overwhelming aura radiated from him in waves. He did not care that his display would attract attention, even in the inner area that was full of experts. In inner area, even the experts at the top of stage 3 would try to keep a low profile. Otherwise, they would attract too much attention as well as enemies. This man was cognizant of the situation but did not hide his strength, which showed his confidence. In fact, his strength lived up to his confidence. An expert nearby was drawn to the man's aura. However, when he discovered the identity of its bearer, he was frightened. He managed to calm himself down. "Shueluo, it's you," said the expert to the man. He was a benevolent-looking white-robed elder. "Well, it's you, Wuyu. So you want to fight me?" Shueluo responded in an arrogant tone as he looked at the elder with his arms crossed in front of his chest. "No, not at all," the elder smiled and continued. "I happened to be around and followed your aura here. I'm leaving now." The elder left immediately. "Coward!" Shueluo mocked the elder. He and Wuyu were from two different camps, but neither of them intended to fight each other. Shueluo knew that he could not kill the elder, and Wuyu had no guts to challenge him. Shueluo continued to move forward, and before long, he came up to a small hill. "What's this?" As he looked down, his eyes brightened. He had spotted a moving figure. Shueluo grinned. "I can't sense his aura. He is a rival." He rushed toward the figure. That figure, Jian Wushuang, sensed an overbearing aura approaching him and stopped. He turned around and saw a burly golden-haired man charging toward him. Jian Wushuang was startled for a moment and stared at the man. "He is." In an instant, Jian Wushuang recognized the man. "He is Shueluo. No wonder his aura is so aggressive." Jian Wushuang looked grave. Jian Wushuang felt extremely pressured at Shueluo's arrival. Based on the file Sir Axe had given him, Shueluo was an expert at the top of stage 3 with a strong body and mighty power. Besides, his attack and defensive skills were excellent. His only weakness might be his slow speed. Moreover, he was ranked among the top 20 experts in inner area. The file also mentioned that Shueluo had once fought head-to-head with an expert at heaven-defying level. Shueluo had been overpowered by him, but he had managed to escape in one piece. In other words, Shueluo was a monster who feared nothing in inner area. "I'm so lucky to encounter him." Jian Wushuang was excited. Shueluo had presented himself just when Jian Wushuang wanted to find someone on whom he could test his blood puppet. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. The blood puppet appeared and swallowed a blood gem that Jian Wushuang gave him. "Show me your power as a blood puppet made by Sword Ancestor." Jian Wushuang waited with bated breath for fight to commence. After swallowing the gem, a sliver of light flashed in the puppet's eyes. Bang! The puppet turned into a streak of red flowing light and rushed toward Shueluo. Shueluo had been watching Jian Wushuang closely during his charge toward him. He was taken aback when the blood puppet suddenly appeared in front of him. The puppet swiftly dived at Shueluo, clenched his right hand into a fist and threw it at Shueluo. "You want to play hard? I'm fine with it." Shueluo sneered. Shueluo transformed into an ape as a giant demonic ape materialized from thin air and appeared behind him. He then made a fist and attacked. Two overwhelming forces collided. Chapter 414 The Horrifying Blood Puppet. Chapter 414 The Horrifying Blood Puppet. Bang! A booming sound resounded in the area. Explosive forces expanded in all directions. Where fists met, squeezing noises were heard, as if the space could not bear the forces. Shueluo looked at the puppet in astonishment. He felt a slight pain in his arm. His power had always been his biggest advantage, and helped him succeed in every battle. Now, in a battle of brute strength, he was hurt while the puppet was unscathed. The puppet struck two more punches which were as powerful as the first one. Shueluo's eyes were glacial. He waved his hands and ran toward the punches. Bang! Bang! Two booming sounds echoed. Shui Luo fell backward several steps while the puppet remained standing where he was. Blood puppet overpowered him. Watching from the ground, Jian Wushuang was surprised by the result. Shui Luo is a super expert, well known for his defense. Even someone at heaven-defying level can't hurt him. However, he lost to the puppet in that battle of power. That means the puppet is more powerful. In the next moment, Jian Wushuang saw the puppet attack again. Boom! 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 The puppet rained blows on Shui Luo, like a storm that refused to let up. The blood puppet was unintelligent and attacked his enemy simply by punching and sweeping his legs. However, while his strikes lacked skill, he possessed an overwhelming power that frightened Shui Luo. With such power and incredibly fast speed, the puppet was definitely as strong as an expert at stage 3. As for the puppet's defense, it was even more impressive. When the two had collided, Shui Luo had felt pain and numbness. The puppet had been completely unaffected. The puppet did not have fighting skills but still frustrated Shui Luo with his considerable power. I'm less powerful than him. I'm slower in speed than him. I'm even much weaker in defense than him. As these thoughts ran through his head, Shui Luo lost all his will to fight. Who the hell made this puppet? How could it be so powerful? He roared in a barely suppressed voice and looked livid. He did not know that the puppet had been created by Sword Ancestor, a person who could match 3 ancestors. Such a puppet was never meant to be just an ordinary fighter. I can't go on like this. Gnashing his teeth, Shui Luo cast a sharp glance at Jian Wushuang, who stood nearby. Domineering and arrogant, he had bowed to no one in inner area. He had thought that the puppet was an ordinary one and had not taken it seriously. He had tried to dispatch it before attacking Jian Wushuang. He had not expected it to be so strong and that he would fail. Now he had no other choice but to change his target to Jian Wushuang. Since the puppet is controlled by the boy, killing him will stop the puppet's attack. Then, his interspatial ring and the puppet will be mine. Having made up his mind, Shui Luo flashed and turned away from the puppet, heading toward Jian Wushuang. Kill him! Killing intent surged in his eyes. As soon as Shui Luo changed his target, Jian Wushuang understood his intention and smirked. Though you have a strong defense, you have no chance to kill me at your normal speed. Jian Wushuang sneered. From Jian Wushuang's body, blood river spread out and covered Shui Luo with sword realm. Repressed by the two techniques, Shui Luo was slowed to a snail-like pace. He could never approach Jian Wushuang at this speed. How could it be possible? I never expected that he has realm techniques. Shui Luo shot Jian Wushuang an amazed look. Just then the puppet dived at Shui Luo again. Bastard! Shui Luo looked pale. He was already weakened by the blood river. Another fight with the puppet would exacerbate his situation. A short while later, he had sustained scratches all over his body, but he was not badly injured. He gazed at Jian Wushuang and the puppet from a distance in the void. Noticing that the puppet's breath had weakened, he realized that its store of energy from the blood gem was depleted. Boy, without your puppet, what else can you rely on to fight me? Shui Luo scowled and his eyes burned with rage. Well, do you really think that I only have one gem to power my puppet? Jian Wushuang smiled coldly and produced another blood gem. Shui Luo narrowed his eyes. Shui Luo, if you want to suffer some more, just try it, Jian Wushuang said coolly. Shui Luo's mouth twitched. Horror filled his eyes when their gaze fell on the puppet. He was still traumatized from being overpowered by the puppet, who was stronger than him in power, speed, and defense. Damn you! All you have is a puppet. Without it, I can kill you as easily as crushing an ant. Shui Luo raged. Jian Wushuang sneered. Even without the puppet, you won't be able to stop me if I want to escape. Shui Luo's countenance changed and he snorted. Fine. Boy, you're lucky that I'm letting you go this time, but there won't be a second time. Shui Luo headed away in fury. Chapter 415 Winning Fame. Chapter 415 Winning Fame. Shui Luo is indeed powerful. No wonder he is called monster. Jian Wushuang thought. As he looked back at the blood puppet, he smiled with joy. However, he was still defeated by my puppet. My puppet must be more powerful than him. 1 blood gem was adequate to simply power the blood puppet. If 10 gems were used, the puppet would reach the heights of his power. Shui Luo is an expert at the top of stage 3, but my puppet still overpowered him. That means that powering the puppet with 1 gem put it almost at heaven-defying level of the Saint Realm. How powerful would it be when powered by 2 or more gems? By 10 gems. Jian Wushuang was full of anticipation as he thought to himself, the puppet is indeed one of Sword Ancestor's creations. It requires too many blood gems. During the fight with Shui Luo, the energy supplied by 1 blood gem to the puppet had been depleted in less than 10 minutes. Exchanging 1 blood gem from the treasure vault required 1,000 battle achievement points. A stage 3 expert would need to be defeated to gain that number of points. The puppet is powerful, but I should only use it in dire situations. I don't have that many blood gems, so I can't use the puppet indiscriminately. With the puppet, Jian Wushuang felt more confident about his future. If I unleash all my power, I should be at the high level of stage 3. This level is ordinary for inner area. But with realm techniques like Road to the Underworld and Tenfold Realm, I will survive even if I encounter an expert at peak of stage 3. Even if I can't, Blood Puppet will help me. Let's begin our adventure. Jian Wushuang continued his journey in inner area, a place filled with numerous experts. Some of them had lived for hundreds of years or longer. They had brilliant martial techniques and skills to protect themselves. Jian Wushuang's skills should be considered at the top level among theirs. Half a year had elapsed since Jian Wushuang first entered the inner area. A small yellow stone fort stood among bare mountains. The owner had to be a very strong expert who was confident about his power, for he had dared to build his fort in inner area, a battlefield known for its slaughter and violence. This man was called the Heavenstone Castle Lord. An expert at the top of stage 3, he was more notorious than Shui Luo for his cruelty. In the entire area, only the 6 experts at heaven-defying level could possibly overpower him. A man in green with a saber strapped on his back approached slowly and entered the fort. He sat down at a stone table and started to drink alone with a gloomy expression. "Third brother, what's wrong with you?" A skinny elder with a goatee walked up to him. This elder was the famous Heavenstone Castle Lord. Heavenstone Castle Lord had 2 buddies who were as close to him as brothers. Both were at stage 3 and had adventured with him in inner area. Unfortunately, one of them was killed many years ago. Now, the Lord only had his 3rd brother. "Nothing's wrong. It's just that I'm frustrated from my fight with an expert from a rival camp that happened on my way back," said the 3rd brother after a sip of his wine. "Not many from Marquis Piaoshua's camp can frustrate you as you're now at the top of stage 3. So who the hell did you meet? The crazy Qin Tao? Tianyi? Or the devil Qing Ling?" The Lord mentioned 3 people who were well known for their powers and were as strong as him. "None of them. It was a young man who used a sword. I guess he is that swordsman, who has gained a lot of notice recently," the 3rd brother answered with a frown. "Swordsman?" The Lord was slightly surprised. "I've heard of him, a man with awakened double sword souls and a promising future. In the past 6 months, he won fame in inner area and has drawn attention from many. But he is no match for you, isn't it?" "Yes, he isn't. His power is weak. Fighting head-on, I can easily defeat him and even kill him. However, he has a weird realm technique, which suppressed my powers," the 3rd brother said helplessly. "He relied on his realm and challenged me. I had to let him go for he has a strong body and many trump cards." "I see," the Lord smiled and said. "I'm not surprised that you were repressed by his realm. After all, it's a powerful technique. Even I envy him. Moreover, he has Sword Soul to help him. If he achieves new heights in origin, I guess it'll be hard for me to beat him as well." "I know. I'm just a little depressed." The 3rd brother curled his lips. As for the man they were talking about, Jian Wushuang, he hadn't returned to his camp during his half-year-long adventure. He had encountered and fought many opponents, exposing his realm technique and double sword souls to the experts in inner area. For this reason, he had left a deep impression on many people and had won some fame. His technique had caused much trouble to his opponents and was regarded as a unique skill. Chapter 416 Origin Mark. Chapter 416 Origin Mark. Jian Wushuang sat quietly in a cave in the inner area. The cave was rarely visited and was surrounded by vast amounts of slaughter origin. Slaughter origin rushed into the armlet on his left arm and condensed gradually into a black mark. This black mark had the faint appearance of a flame, but it did not look like a regular one. Origin mark. When the black mark condensed, Jian Wushuang opened his eyes with pleasant surprise. Origin mark would condense only when his comprehension of this origin had reached an extremely high level. When Jian Wushuang had entered inner area half a year ago, he had been a step away from condensing origin mark. As he battled stage 3 experts during the past half year, he had made great progress in all aspects, including his sword principle and origin comprehension. This had finally culminated in his achievement of condensing his first origin mark. Origin mark. Jian Wushuang stared at the origin mark on his arm. Using his will, he directed the origin mark's power into his hand. He waved his hand and a terrible blast swept the cave with a loud roar. What immense power! Jian Wushuang was ecstatic. Origin mark had greatly improved his strength. Jian Wushuang estimated that his strength had trebled. When the origin mark was condensed, my overall strength increased by nearly 3 times. My battle strength now should be equal to that of an expert at the peak of stage 3, Jian Wushuang whispered. Before this moment, he had reached the high level of stage 3 by virtue of double first-grade sword soul, blood river realm, physical strength, and heavenly creation skill. While it was just a single slaughter origin mark, it had strengthened his overall power by 3 times and elevated him to the peak of stage 3. Experts in the inner area have specials, means or abilities to stay alive, even if their strength is weak. Before I condensed the origin mark, it was already difficult to kill me because I had the assistance of the realm. Now, Jian Wushuang curled his lips into a playful smile. Experts who dared to adventure in the inner area were generally confident of their own strength, or their ability to survive. During his half year in the inner area, he had fought many experts from the opposite camp. He had only managed to kill 2 of them, who were ordinary stage 3 experts. While they had skills that would have saved their lives, they had been restrained by his realm and had failed to escape. It had taken a long time for him to kill them. Only 2 experts. He had also suffered several crises. The most dangerous one was a battle with an expert at the peak of stage 3. That man was weaker than Shui Luo, but he was well-rounded with no obvious weaknesses. Under Blood River Realm's suppression, he had still been faster than Jian Wushuang. At the beginning of the fight, Jian Wushuang had already sustained serious wounds and had been thoroughly outclassed. Thanks to his blood puppet, he had narrowly resolved the crisis. Now, he was at the peak of stage 3 because of the power of origin energy. With the assistance of his realm, he would be threatened by few experts. Oh! In the vast void, a burly purple-haired man, clothed in a black shirt with 2 long spears on his back, slowly marched forward. He cast his eyes warily at the surroundings. The 2 long spears could be connected together. Suddenly he saw someone rush toward him. The purple-haired man recognized the man. Swordsman. In the past half year, Jian Wushuang had earned a reputation in the inner area. He had fought the purple-haired man before. At that time, the purple-haired man had an absolute advantage, but he had failed to kill Jian Wushuang as the latter had escaped with the help of his realm. Dongming. Jian Wushuang stood in front of the purple-haired man and looked at him. What? I taught you a lesson last time. Do you want me to beat you again? Dongming, the purple-haired man, sneered at Jian Wushuang. I was indeed not strong enough the last time. I've improved my strength since then, so I'll test it on you, Jian Wushuang laughed. Test it on me? Dongming snorted. An intense and horrifying aura began to surge from his body. Haha, let's start. Jian Wushuang laughed and released his Blood River realm. This realm again. Dong Ming's face darkened. He had failed to kill Jian Wushuang the last time because of this realm. Damn, if it weren't for this realm, you would just be a bug in the inner area. You would have been killed countless times, Dong Ming growled. Really? Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. A freezing sword light penetrated the void and roared toward Dong Ming. Two tall sword soul phantoms stood behind Jian Wushuang. They also brandished longswords with torrential sword light. In this slash, Jian Wushuang released his full power of sword soul and physical strength. He also brought his origin mark to its extreme. Dong Ming did not take Jian Wushuang seriously at first. After all, he had fought Jian Wushuang a few months ago and had outclassed the latter. He did not expect Jian Wushuang to improve much during such a short period. Dong Ming realized his mistake in underestimating Jian Wushuang when the sword light appeared. This. Eyes widened in surprise, Dong Ming swung the long spear in his hand and stabbed forward. The movement was similar to a poisonous snake striking out of a hole. Clang! A deep crash sounded. What? Dong Ming's face darkened. His long spear point had been twisted sideways by the sword light. The sword light continued to sweep toward him with great momentum. Dong Ming immediately pulled his long spear back and swung it. He narrowly dodged the sword light, but he was blown backward by its power. Peak of Stage 3. Dong Ming was stunned. Dong Ming was close to the peak of Stage 3, but he was swept away by Jian Wushuang's slash. It seemed that Jian Wushuang was much stronger than him in battle strength and had truly reached the peak of Stage 3. Chapter 417 Triple Shift. Chapter 417 Triple Shift. How could it be possible? How could he have made such rapid progress in such a short period of time? Dong Ming was shocked. He clearly remembered that he had been able to overpower Jian Wushuang a few months ago, though the latter had the help of his realm. How had Jian Wushuang reached the peak of Stage 3 so quickly? How could he become even stronger than me? Dong Ming was unaware that Jian Wushuang had not yet condensed the origin mark in their last exchange. With the origin mark, Jian Wushuang's battle strength had increased several times and now exceeded his. I'm in big trouble. Having realized the full extent of Jian Wushuang's battle strength, Dong Ming's face fell. It had only been a minor inconvenience for him to be trapped in the realm when he was stronger than Jian Wushuang. But now that Jian Wushuang's power had grown, the realm became a nightmare. Jian Wushuang rushed forward and brandished his sword to attack Dong Ming. The latter barely managed to parry the strike. Run, I have to run quickly. With a trace of madness in his eyes, Dong Ming looked desperately for an opportunity to flee. Dong Ming, are you expecting to escape from my realm? You must be kidding, Jian Wushuang sneered. Damn! Dong Ming swore under his breath. Dong Ming was close to the top of Stage 3 in terms of battle strength and had excellent power, speed and defensive ability. He would not be afraid to challenge some experts at the peak of Stage 3, who were even stronger than Jian Wushuang. After all, he would still be able to escape if he failed. But Jian Wushuang, his realm was too strong and too unpredictable. Experts in the inner area had already made judgments on Jian Wushuang's realm. Someone much stronger than Jian Wushuang could outclass or compete with him even when trapped in his realm. Otherwise, he would need special skills to survive. For example, Wind Demon could easily escape from Jian Wushuang's realm with his extraordinary speed. These were the two types of people who could calmly face Jian Wushuang's realm. Others were doomed to die in Jian Wushuang's hands. Dong Ming was far weaker than Jian Wushuang and he had no special abilities. His death loomed large before him. No. Dong Ming's face was distorted with fury and panic. His continual attempts to flee were thwarted by Jian Wushuang. Dong Ming grew desperate. He could not escape. He was completely crushed by Jian Wushuang. As the attacks continued to rain on him, he grew too exhausted to resist. The only thing waiting for him was death. I won't accept it. Dong Ming roared in anger and gathered the last of his energy and to make his final struggle. Won't accept it? You were quite arrogant the last time you met me, Jian Wushuang sneered. He vaguely remembered that Dong Ming had mocked him a few months ago. Furthermore, Dong Ming was from the rival camp. Jian Wushuang would not show him mercy. Finally, Dong Ming's resistance broke down. Jian Wushuang's sword pierced his chest in a killing blow. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and retrieved Dong Ming's interspatial ring. He glanced at the treasures in it and broke out into a smile. Great, he has lots of treasures, even more than the 2 stage 3 experts I killed earlier. There are even 2 blood gems. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up with pleasant surprise. In the interspatial ring there were 2 blood gems and plenty of treasures and raw gems. More importantly, the ring contained Dong Ming's ID token. Another 1,000 battle achievements. Now I have 4,000 battle achievements. Jian Wushuang held Dong Ming's ID token in his hand and curled his lips. Before entering the inner area, he had adventured in the outer area with Sir Axe, Lei Dao, and the others, where he had killed a 10-member team on his own. Though they had just been stage 2 experts and were worth only 100 battle achievements each, he had obtained 1,000 battle achievements in that fight. During the half a year in the inner area, he had fought many times and killed 2 stage 3 experts using his realm technique. That earned him 2,000 battle achievements. By killing Dong Ming, he now owned 4,000 battle achievements. There was a manual in the treasure vault list that I couldn't afford. But now it seems that I've earned enough battle achievements to redeem it. Jian Wushuang laughed and left the inner area, heading for the campsite of Drifting Blood Marquis. He passed through the inner area and outer area in a hurry. His journey was uneventful, and he did not encounter any challengers. A few days later, he arrived at the campsite of the Drifting Blood Marquis. It was bustling with activity, as it always did. Jian Wushuang entered the campsite treasure vault and glanced casually at the gray-clothed elder sitting there. Jian Wushuang perused the treasure list. A few moments later he found the manual he sought. Triple Shift, a first-grade manual. Although first-grade manuals were rare and precious in the vast divine land, there were a few of them in Drifting Blood Marquis' treasure vault. However, most of them were incomplete. The only complete one was Triple Shift. Triple Shift was a body technique manual. It was much stronger than Wrath of Gale and Thunderbolt, which Jian Wushuang had cultivated. My biggest advantage is the Blood River realm superimposed by Road to the Underworld and Tenfold Realm. Once the realm is released, I can choose to fight or escape a battle. However, experts who have excellent speed can easily escape from my realm, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. His Blood River realm was not invincible either. For example, Wind Demon, the first expert he had met in the inner area, had managed to flee from his Blood River realm. This was because he had been too quick, making it impossible for Jian Wushuang to kill him. At that time, Jian Wushuang had been impressed and envied Wind Demon's speed. If he wanted to elevate the use of his realm, he needed to move faster. Triple Shift would help him meet this requirement. Triple Shift had 3 levels, and its first level would enable him to travel 100 miles in a single breath. Being able to perform the astonishing feat of traveling 100 miles in a breath by studying this manual demonstrated its great worth. It was not easy to acquire a first-grade manual such as this. It would cost him 4,000 battle achievements. Chapter 418 The Bone King's Invitation. Chapter 418 The Bone King's Invitation. I want to exchange my points for the first manual of Triple Shift, Jian Wushuang said. The gray-clothed elder looked at Jian Wushuang and said, for 1,000 battle achievements. Jian Wushuang took out a large number of enemies' tokens. The gray-clothed elder counted them and nodded. He made a record on his paper and said, wait at the campsite. In 3 days we'll send it to you. Thanks, Jian Wushuang said before leaving. 3 days later, a man sent the first manual of Triple Shift to Jian Wushuang. He immediately started to meditate on it. Triple Shift, as a first-grade manual and an extraordinary one, was naturally enigmatic. It was different from Wrath of Gale and Thunderbolt, which Jian Wushuang had once cultivated. The latter had certain origin comprehension requirements. At that time, Jian Wushuang had barely mastered it. Triple Shift did not require much of origin but demanded a strong body. Regardless of his depth of origin comprehension, an ordinary expert would not be qualified to cultivate this manual if his body failed to meet the requirements. This was the reason why Jian Wushuang valued the manual. After he became a venerable master, his biggest advantage compared with ordinary experts of the Saint Realm was his strong body. His body was as strong as a magic weapon and grew stronger the longer he stayed at this level. With the passing of time, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. It was obvious that his body met the requirements of practicing triple shift. What he needed to do now was to meditate on the manual and practice it. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Jian Wushuang stood quietly on a hill near the campsite. Suddenly he moved. Ziaqiyu. Like a flowing light he flashed through the void. The movement was so fast it would have escaped the notice of ordinary warriors. Jian Wushuang's residual shadow slowly dissipated. Before it completely disappeared, Jian Wushuang returned and his form solidified. He traveled back and forth within a breath. In the space of a single breath, he had traveled 10 miles away and returned. Less than a breath. It's so fast. It's worthy of a first-grade manual. Jian Wushuang's eyes glinted. It was said that the first manual of triple shift would allow one to travel 100 miles in a breath. 100 miles sounded like an exaggeration, but it was close to that. If Jian Wushuang released the wrath of gale and thunderbolt and transformed his body to lightning, it would take him at least 4 or 5 breaths to travel 10 miles and return. With triple shift, it only took him 1 breath. My speed has soared thanks to triple shift. Now I'm nearly as fast as Wind Demon. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists. Wind Demon's speed was impressive and highly regarded by all in the inner area. Jian Wushuang acknowledged that he was still a little slower than Wind Demon under ordinary circumstances. However, if he superimposed the road to the underworld and tenfold realm to form the Blood River realm to suppress Wind Demon, the latter would definitely be slower than him. Jian Wushuang was sure that Wind Demon would not be able to escape in their next encounter. Jian Wushuang returned to the campsite. As he entered his tent, someone approached him. Mr. Swordsman. It was a black-robed old man, who was an ordinary expert at pinnacle of the Saint Realm level, and had not entered stage 2. What's up? Jian Wushuang glanced at the old man, a little surprised. Jian Wushuang had not been in flaming battlefield long, and had been fighting alone. He knew some experts from the same camp but had no close friends in the inner area. Except for the experts of Iron Saber territory, he was not expecting any visitors. Mr. Swordsman, my master wants to meet you. I have come to invite you to his cave mansion, the old man said. Who is your master? Jian Wushuang asked. My master is Bone King, the old man laughed. Bone King. Jian Wushuang was curious. Flaming Battlefield was accessible only to experts. Countless top experts gathered in the inner area, including plenty of experts at the peak of Stage 3. Among them, there were some formidable beings. Those formidable beings, though also at the peak of Stage 3, could fight with experts of heaven-defying level. Each was regarded as an overlord in the inner area, and no one dared to provoke them. Average experts would flee if they met these overlords in the inner area. Shueluo, who Jian Wushuang had once met in the inner area, was one of them. Shueluo was much stronger than other experts at the peak of Stage 3 in terms of power and speed. Bone King was a super expert who was even stronger than Shueluo, and he was notorious for killing. In terms of battle strength, Bone King was invincible as long as he did not encounter the 6 experts of heaven-defying level, who rarely appeared. I've never met Bone King before. Why does he want to talk to me? Jian Wushuang looked puzzled. Naturally, he would not refuse the invitation from a super expert. Where is your master now? Jian Wushuang asked. Please come with me. The black-robed old man led the way forward. The Bone King's magnificent cave mansion stood in an immense rift not far from the campsite. Jian Wushuang entered the cave mansion with the old man and soon saw Bone King. Haha, Swordsman. A barefoot middle-aged man in a loose robe smiled as he walked toward Jian Wushuang. Bone King, Jian Wushuang greeted him. A youth with a cold expression and sword-shaped eyebrows stood behind Bone King. Shueyang, Jian Wushuang also greeted him. The young man nodded impassively. Shueyang was also an extraordinary expert at the peak of Stage 3, though a little weaker than Bone King. Jian Wushuang had met Shui Yang in the inner area, but had not fought him as they belonged to the same camp. Chapter 419 Occupation. Chapter 419 Occupation. I heard that a new expert named Swordsman had appeared in the inner area, and his realm technique was amazing. Finally, I have the chance to meet you, Bone King said kindly. Thank you, Jian Wushuang responded humbly. May I ask why you invited me here? No hurry. Several other experts will come later. I'll tell you when all of you are gathered here, said Bone King. Okay, Jian Wushuang nodded. They sat down at a round table. Swordsman, you're very famous in the inner area for your realm technique. Would you please show it to me? Bone King asked casually. I would like to see it too, Shui Yang said. Of course, Jian Wushuang nodded. He knew that Bone King wanted to test his strength. Bone King must have invited him for his realm technique. Be careful, Jian Wushuang cautioned and released his invisible sword realm. Oh, Bone King frowned slightly. That's all. Of course not, Jian Wushuang smiled. In the next moment, a blood river surged up with a roar and tumbled around him. The superposition of road to the underworld and tenfold realm produced a formidable oppressive effect. Bone King's eyes lit up as he felt the enormous power of the blood river. What a powerful realm. With it, our chances of accomplishing the task will improve by at least 20%. This realm is indeed strong. Shui Yang nodded gravely as he looked at Jian Wushuang. Not long ago, I met Wu Ming from the opposite camp in the inner area. He had been weaker than me, but he had obtained a treasure which could release a realm. A treasure? Jian Wushuang was intrigued. His realm resulted from his sword skill, a secret skill. He had never chanced upon any treasure which could create a realm. It was a ring which contained a special formation. Once he used it, a realm was released. Because of that, he was able to compete with me. However, that realm was much weaker than yours, Shui Yang said. Jian Wushuang was silent, but he continued to contemplate the new information. A ring which could release a realm and exert an influence on Shui Yang was undoubtedly powerful. Jian Wushuang's realm was powerful, but it could be improved if he could get his hands on that ring and superimpose its realm with his. Soon other experts arrived. They sat themselves at the round table. Besides Jian Wushuang and Shui Yang, Bone King had invited 3 other experts. Among them, Jian Wushuang was a newcomer. The others had enjoyed fame for a long time and had reached the peak of stage 3. Shui Yang. Zhu Hua. You must be swordsmen. They greeted and talked to each other. Since they belonged to the same camp and were all top experts, it was natural for them to socialize with one another. Everyone, said Bone King, who sat at the head of the table. The experts quieted down and listened to him attentively. They had been invited by Bone King, but did not know his reason for doing so. I invited you to come here for a task, Bone King said in a magnificent voice. It was ordered by the high officials of Drifting Blood Marquis. The task is extraordinary and quite difficult, but it's also rewarding. If the task is completed, everyone will get at least 10,000 battle achievements, as well as other rewards. 10,000 battle achievements. Hearing that, their eyes lit up. 10,000 battle achievements was nothing to scoff at. They could only get 1,000 battle achievements by killing a Stage 3 expert. All Stage 3 experts who ventured into the inner area were confident of their battle strength. Experts who were weaker were equipped with skills that would help them survive, such as the Wind Demon with his amazing speed. Therefore, even though the experts present were at the peak of Stage 3, it was an uphill challenge for them to kill a Stage 3 expert in the inner area. The reward of 10,000 battle achievements was equal to killing 10 Stage 3 experts. This made the incentive for completing the task very attractive. A substantial reward also meant that this task would be complex. Bone King, tell us what this task is, a burly rough-looking man named Beast said impatiently. Many experts used aliases on the flaming battlefield. I'll be candid. Our task is to occupy a cave mansion controlled by the opposite camp, Bone King said in a low voice. Occupy a cave mansion? The gathered experts were surprised. On the flaming battlefield, there were 330 cave mansions, many of which were still hidden and had not been discovered, but more had fallen under the control of the two camps. Drifting Blood Marquis controlled 99 mansions in total. The number of cave mansions occupied by Pale Moon Marquis was not insignificant as well. These cave mansions were guarded by experts of the two camps, with more precious caves being guarded by stronger guards. But these guards were not top experts. This was as the cave mansions were equipped with formations. Even the lords of Cloud Realm level could not break the formations and occupy the cave mansions. As such, it was not necessary to dispatch top experts to guard them. Occupy a cave mansion? Bone King, are you kidding? Beast responded in a bear-like voice. All the cave mansions controlled by Pale Moon Marquis are protected by powerful and indestructible formations. Even a lord can't destroy it. How would we occupy it? The other experts quietly nodded their agreement. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.